Howdy everybody, welcome back to another XD prototyping challenge with me, your host Brandon Groce. I'm super excited to have all of you guys here today because we are going to be working on a fitness landing page. So with that said, I want to say hello to everybody, and without any further ado, you guys can download the assets that we're going to be using for this project down in the links below, and you also can join our amazing Adobe XD and Adobe communities in our Discord down below, links. Check it. All right, so with that said, let's go ahead and move into our screen share and let's talk about what we're going to be working on today. So today's challenge, we are going to be working, like I said, on a fitness landing page inspired by a very long named individual. I can't do it. Renaissance. I'm gonna put a little bit accent grave on there, but if you guys want to check them out on Behance, you definitely can. I'll leave the name up here, and if you guys are checking this out via the starter files, you guys can check them out as well. I left the URL for you there. So we are going to kind of go with I know we are doing a fitness sort of landing page, but also, you guys know, I love Nike. And so we're gonna use some Nike assets, and we're gonna basically put these babies on our landing page, and really everything else that we have here on our starter file you guys have. So really what we're gonna focus on here today is using the assets, plopping them on here, and as we have done so many times before, really just focusing on animation and doing some cool things there. So let's go ahead. First things first, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I kind of already have everything I want here. So I'm just going to drag these and place them exactly where I want on my artboard here. And also feel free, if you have any questions for me in the live chat, go ahead and drop those in. But again, we're focusing on how can we bring this landing page to life. That's why I like to give you guys the majority of the assets. These things though, in particular, because it's for educational purposes only, I cannot give you guys all of the, this is not our work. This is for educational purposes only. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put these into place. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna multiply our assets here, or excuse me, our artboards. And as you guys know, I talk a lot about this in Adobe XD, is that in animation, we want to think about things almost as a before and after. We have an initial state and a after state. And so what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to kind of push our after state a little bit further down this way, because we are going to, in between here, we're going to have room for our animations to happen. And let me see here. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate. Actually, let's think here. Let me think. What do I want to have between here and here? And this is where we kind of get to have a little fun, because essentially this is where we're thinking through the animation. What do we want to happen first? What do we want to have in second and third? I'm kind of thinking, let's just turn everything down in terms of opacity. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna take my shoes, turn the opacity all the way down. Same thing with my scroll. This little line here. LeBron, we're gonna hide you, shorty, so boom. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing with our Nike logo. And we will do the same with our Roman numerals and our play. And so this is where we get to have a little fun. So let's see. This background was a gradient. I thought this, for a second, was two things. I thought this was like a dark little spot, and then back here was the solid color. So what I'm going to go ahead and do first, I think what we want to animate first is our navigation. So let us go ahead and do that. Move this further down because we're going to be duplicating some more artboards here. So I'm going to push this over. So again, this is going to be our after state. This is what we want to have in place right after this. So now we're going to go ahead and make these changes. I'm going to reduce the size of this, turn the opacity down, and our menu, we want to basically move up. So I'm going to push these down and turn the opacity down. And maybe what we want to have for the menu is maybe we move this puppy up and turn the opacity down. So at least the menu kind of collides and we have that little circle, it kind of expands. So let's take a look at what we have so far. Before we go too far, we always want to make sure it's at least the things that we are wanting to happen are those things happening. So I'm going to click my first artboard here, go to Prototype tab, and I'm going to take this arrow, pull it on over here, and let us change the trigger. We want a time trigger. Delay, we're going to do a 1 second delay, basically telling Adobe XD, hey, make sure to start these animations we're about to set 1 second after, or after a second rather. We're going to change the transition type to auto animate, and we are going to change our easing type to snap and our duration to about 0.4 seconds. All right, so let's go ahead and let's press play here. All right, there we go. Let me play that one more time, see what we got. There we go. It was nice. I'm gonna elongate this duration just a little bit. We're gonna do 0.6 to make it a little bit more exaggerated. There we go. And maybe, just quite maybe, we'll do 0.8 to get a little bit even more exaggerated. There we go. Okay, so we have that first part. Next, what we are going to do, we are going to duplicate this, holding Alt and pulling this here. The next thing that we want to have occur is maybe we introduce our Nike logo, but starting over here, maybe what we want to do, and we're going to do one thing at a time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to scale this down, and I am going to do the exact same thing for the preceding logos, because XD does not play when you're trying to change things. It wants to make sure that everything is consistent so that when you're animating it, and for those of you who have watched other videos where we've had, you know, some very interesting, like, how do you say, miscalculations or animations aren't working out, it's because there's an inconsistency of some sort. So I think maybe what we'll do is we'll bring this down first and we'll reduce the size to about here. And I think maybe what we could do, I'm going to just call this Nike, and I'm going to paste this on the other artboards. Copy. I'm going to delete our pieces here, and I want to make sure that they are in the same spots on our other artboards here. It's very important that hierarchy is the same across all artboards, or else the animations are going to be messed up. So all of our Nike swooshes are going to be underneath group 212. And of course, this would be a lot easier on you guys if you actually name your layers. All right, so Nike, boom. I'm going to come in here, call this Nike as well. And now I can come back in here. I'm going to reduce these Nikes to 0 opacity. And so what we should end up with now, I'm going to click on my second. We're going to go ahead and pull this over to our third artboard. Take off the delay because now we just want a consistent animation. It was fine to have a delay for our first artboard just so we can at least see it happen. But now for our next upcoming animations, we don't necessarily need it. We're going to reduce the duration to about, say, 0.4. And now we are going to also, we're going to pull in our shoe. So we're going to turn the opacity on here. And of course, I also want to see where the shoe is on the other artboards. And I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to rotate the shoe about 34 degrees. Ooh. 34 degrees or 30. 33. So I'm gonna copy. And one thing I do want to do as well is I'm gonna name this group. I'm just gonna call it a shoe. Shoe. And I'm gonna do it across my other artboards here. And after I do this, I'm gonna go ahead and check the live chat to see if you guys have any particular questions. And then we will continue with the tutorial. All right. Negative 33. All right, let me go ahead and check the chat here, see what you guys are chatting about. All right. Hey, what's going on, Stroofy? Sam, Fabian, it's good to see you all. Ruben, what is happening? Rob. Rob says, you look a little bit different. Have you been working out? Indeed, my friend, I definitely have. We have Mwendwa, Chris, glad to have you in the chat, but it looks like you guys are doing a-okay in the chat, and we will continue on with our tutorial. All right. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to squeeze these now. So we're going to reduce the size here, 1. And I want the same, I'm going to just copy this here. I'm going to delete this here, paste, making sure that the shoe group is named the same, but we also need to move this underneath group 213. There we go. And it will all make sense as to why I'm doing this, but for now, all I can say that makes sense in the simplest form is that you need to make sure all of your layers, everything that you change, whether it be the name, whether it be the layer, if you're changing it in one artboard and you're animating it, you have to change it in the previous artboards and make sure it has the same name and things of that nature. So let's go ahead and press play. We have our menu, boom, and we have that nice little swivel. The animation is a little too quick, so what we're gonna go ahead and do is go to prototype, click, and we're gonna increase the duration of this to 0.8. So let's see what we have here. Boom. Boom, very nice, much better, a lot slower. And now we're gonna just continue to increase the complexity of these animations. So I'm gonna hold Alt, duplicate this, and we're just working up here to the final state, this. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna grab our Roman numerals. We are going to pull these down. Just like this. And you know what I might actually do as well is these Roman numerals from these previous pages, I think I might just delete because we're not using them at all in these other artboards. And I think if we include them, it's actually going to hurt the animation if we include them in the previous artboards. Because Adobe XD will be like, you had this layer or this asset on other layers and they were not where this the asset is in this artboard. So we're just going to delete them. Okay, so I'm going to pull this down here, reduce the opacity because we want it to kind of go up. Let's find this play button. We're going to pull this down. Whoops. Right about here. Use my arrow keys to get it exactly where I wanted. And now we're gonna go ahead and I think honestly, I think the only other thing that I might want to do is moving these shoes. But for now, what we're gonna go ahead and do is, again, one step at a time. Let's animate from let's see. Got to do a little thinking. Because I think I can automatically go from here to here. And I actually should not have moved these ones. Let me Control Z really quickly. the things that I did here, I should have done here. So like Control Z, Control Z. There we go. All right. So let me go ahead and pull this up really quick, as well as the play button. All right. Move this over. I'm going to pull both this and the play button down. Play button down just a little bit more. Turn these back to 0. This is our next state. Perfect. And now these shoes, I'm just going to turn the opacity up just a little bit so I can see kind of where they are. And I'm going to start moving them off the artboard just like this. And you guys will see why in just a second. Okay. I'm going to turn these back off. And let's start connecting the prototype. All right, so we have here, we're going to connect this. It should connect, it should keep all of the timestamps and the animations that we've had previously, and we're just going to keep those. We're not going to change them. And we're going to connect to our last artboard. Now, this is going to be really funky. But let's see what we have, ladies and gentlemen. Let's press play. And let's diagnose from here. Boom, shoe comes in. We have the, very nice. And one thing I am going to do is I am going to click on our menu or our logo here. And we are going to pull this all the way to our first artboard, so we don't have to keep pressing the play button. We can just, if we want to watch the animation again or have it reset, we just click the logo and it takes us to the first artboard and refreshes the animation. Okay, let's see. We like the menu. This I like. This is good. There was some funkiness happening with that little transparency with the shoe and the Nike. So let's see kind of what happens there. Let's take a look. So I'm going to go back to my design tab. And let's see. Aha! So exactly like I said before, remember we need the layer names. So our shoe is not called the shoe layer in this final, what's it called? In this final piece here, nor is our Nike swoosh. So we're going to call this Nike here. And we're going to call this shoe just like we have in our other layers. And that should fix everything for us. And this LeBron thing here, we do need to animate that. So we're going to go ahead and use this here, pull this down. And so now that should kind of elevate up. So let's see what we got. We got 5 artboards. We're doing pretty good for time. Menu comes in, very nice. Logo, boom, blah, bang. Ooh, the heat. The heat, ladies and gentlemen. We're looking good. And so from here, we can do a lot of things. We have about, say, 5-ish minutes here. I do want to double check our chat here yet again, just to make sure you guys are feeling a-okay. And you are. Very nice. Let me know if in the live chat if you guys have any questions. Happy to go over anything you guys need. So we've pretty much done what we've come here to do. But let's add a little bit more complexity. Let's say we want to add maybe like a little bit of a fake scroll. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to, I'm going to bring our menu here all the way up top here. And let me undo that. Make sure I select everything. Let me pull all the way to the top. And I am going to do that on every single layer because we need the consistency for animation purposes. But this is kind of what you guys are going to see is we're going to be creating somewhat of a fake scroll, which is really cool. 1, 2, 3. Pull this to the top. And if you wanted, you could also group these, but for sake of time, we're not going to go ahead and do that. Alrighty. And last layer. 1, 2, 3. pull it up to the top. All right, so we're gonna focus over here. What we're gonna go ahead and do is we are gonna pull all of these assets upwards. Well, some up, some down. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this up, opacity 0. We're gonna pull this up, opacity 0. We're gonna pull this down, opacity, pulled too many things. Pull this down, opacity 0. We are going to rotate this. We're gonna twirl it this way, opacity 0. We're gonna scale this down, opacity 0. We're gonna move this down, opacity 0. Our scrolling content here, we are just going to use my arrow keys, pull this down, opacity 0. And let's see, LeBron, we're just gonna opacity 0. And then our Roman numerals, we're gonna do the same thing, opacity 0. And I think what we can do, oop, not that. This might be a little big, but we're just having fun at this point, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go ahead and center this. And again, we want this to come from the bottom, so we're going to go ahead and pull this all the way down here. Opacity 0. We want this to be behind pretty much almost all of the content. We're going to make sure that this same thing. And let's kind of see what kind of mess that we've made. Let's take a peek. So we're going to just go ahead and pull this over here and see what type of monster we've made. All right, let's start from the beginning. Let's press play. Menu comes in. Boom, boom, blow. You've scrolled. So kind of a little bit of a fake scroll. And of course, what we can do here is we can add back our delay. We're going to do we're going to give us 4 seconds of delay. Maybe we're checking out the shoes, things of that nature. So they're checking out the header for a while and then they scroll. So we're simulating a pause on the website and then a scroll. 4 seconds, boom. So that's how you can kind of simulate scrolling and add more content, animate off the and things like that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that is that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on over to the chat one more time, the live chat, and take a sneak peeky, and then we'll close out. Stroofy says, "LOL, you've been scrolled." Fabian is asking in the live chat, is it possible to create a non-stop floating shoe in XD? Yes, my good sir, you would be able to. You would take a couple artboards, but you could have a shoe that is up on one artboard and then you loop it to another artboard and it's down. And basically you do a timed animation, so it is a somewhat of a looping animation basically. But my friends, I do have to go. Thank you so much for hanging out, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you guys so much. Peace.